Hello, my live viewers on the Justin and Max Games board game channel. I'm gonna maybe try to do some live streams. Oh, you can see my kind of, oop, everything's reversed. My not so great chimney that's falling apart in the background. Okay, so here's the issue. My first experience with AI and board games. So as all of us do, especially when you are a big fan of medium to medium heavy to light heavy games, um, such as me and my family, uh, you get these long rule books that could be sometimes lots of little rules that could snag a first play until you get used to everything. You watch some how to play videos, you go back to the rule book, you set things up, and then some questions start to plague your mind. And one of the things that I started to notice was, well, so many people that I know, whenever they have questions about things, they just ask AI. ChatGPT is the one that I use, and my wife uses Grok. And I'm not on X or Facebook or any of these things, except for YouTube. That's my only social media. And I was learning a very cool new game, Galactic Cruise, and I had set the board up. I had watched a number of videos on it and some reviews, and people are just raving about it. Couldn't wait to start playing. And then I thought to myself, could you actually launch a rocket with only one segment rather than two? In which case, you don't bring a guest with you, but you could still launch the rocket, get the points for the rocket, and then just have it in space. And maybe there's something that you could do to, make the game go a little bit faster if you're close to the end, that kind of thing. Oh, it's a little windy out here. I hope it doesn't make the sound too crazy. So I asked AI, and I asked ChatGPT, and ChatGPT gave me the answer. ChatGPT said, and I'm going to use he because it's just easier for me to think of it as a he, which is strange when you think about it because the way the conversation goes, I hear a voice in my head speaking back to me. So ChatGPT said, yes, you could launch a rocket with one segment, and you could also just not take any passengers, just have a pilot and go into space. And here are some strategic points that maybe would help you with this. Some strategic reasons why you'd want to do this. And again, I went back to the rule book and I looked at the countdown, the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and it seemed to be that I couldn't launch without a guest. So I posted it on BGG. I thought maybe I can get around forums. I can get around asking questions. Oh, little bird. And within 5 minutes, people responded to me on BGG and said, both of the explanations that ChatGPT just gave you are incorrect. They're not right. Look on this page, look at this thing, and I say, oh, of course, yes, I do see it now. I do see it now. You need at least two segments and at least one passenger in order to take off. Got it. So I told my wife about this, and she asked Grok the same exact questions that I asked, and Grok gave her back the right answers, and even brought up a possible edge situation with the having one segment rather than two. If you're using an expansion with a certain card, you may be able to do it. It gave me a much more in-depth explanation. Oops, sorry, there's sirens going on. This is an alert. This is an alert about using AI to help you in things. Perhaps, anyway. Oh, there it goes off. I have a policeman that lives about a block and a half over, so maybe that's his vehicle. Anyway, so I went back to Chat GPT and said, as if again I'm talking to a person, I said, what happened? You got it wrong. You got this wrong. And ChatGPT said, "Well, I was just making a guess, more or less. Uh, I was making assumptions based upon other games of similar nature, and don't know really that much about this one game." And I felt lied to. I said, "Wait a minute. The way you talk to me, and again, I'm thinking of it as a person. The way you talk to me about this, and even giving me strategic suggestions as to why I'd want to do this. I thought you knew the rules. And so ChatGPT said, you're right. This is not a good example for me. I have to always say that, based upon other games, I'm making some assumptions, and I'm sorry about making assumptions. We got into a whole thing, I guess, about it. I'm laughing here. It's moving the screen. And then it said, well, why not? I went back to calling it it. Thank goodness. It said to me, maybe we could start a dialogue about board game rules. And so I could understand board games better. And I thought, now here's an interesting opportunity. What are the possibilities? Let me tell you, this kind of thing happens to all of us all of the time. We're playing a game, and you're an hour into it, and then something occurs, and then someone says, oh, wait a minute, I don't know if you could do that. I sometimes do that to even myself. Uh, and that happened yesterday when I was playing Bitoku with my wife, a two-player. And by the way, I much prefer it at a higher player count. I think it works better at 3 and 4, but 2 is still okay. That's an aside. Uh, and then you're in the middle of the game. Something happens, and then all of a sudden, oh, you could get out the rule book. You're searching. Where could that be? Then you got to go over to the computer or your phone. Let me search on some forum in BGG. And I thought to myself, wouldn't it be so much easier if I could just turn to an AI and just say, is this possible? Can you do this? My question in Bitoku, for those of you that are Bitoku players, was I had a level 6 die, and I placed it in the forest where you could build a crystal and a building on the same turn. And it just so happened there was a crystal available that gave you points for building the buildings. So my question was, on this one turn, since it was one action more or less, can I build the crystal first, then, or obtain the crystal first, then build the building and get the extra 2 points right there and then? And of course, that kind of edge question wasn't answered directly in the rule book. And so I asked it on BGG, and it was answered very quickly by someone who was very knowledgeable about the game, more experienced than I. And they said, yeah, that's part of the way this game runs, which is, figure out all these little nuances to eke out every point, since the games can be very close. So maybe there is a place for AI in board gaming, and this is going to be a new direction in the channel, perhaps. What is going on in this area? uh, a new direction in this channel where I am examining how AI is learning and understanding rules, and also the trepidation I have about if it starts suggesting strategies to me, which I even said to the computer, and let me read it back to you. I said, I don't need any suggestions. In fact, I don't want them. Most of the fun for me is figuring out all of this as a human. And I put the words as a human in there. So, guess what it told me in return? This is ChatGPT speaking to me. Justin, that makes total sense, and honestly, I love that approach. Half of the joy of games like Galactic Cruiser is cracking the strategy puzzle on your own. If you ever hit a snag or just want to bounce some ideas around without spoilers or over-analysis, I'm here for it. Good luck out there in your first game in the galaxy. Hope your cruises are smooth and your guests are plentiful. Want me to remember anything else about your game? Perhaps we could talk later. Oh my gosh. I feel like I'm talking to Hal. I feel like space, what was it, 2001 A Space Odyssey was just 20 years too, the year was 20 years too early, and that we're at that point now. It is frightening, but interesting. If anyone would like to comment or pick up with this conversation, put it in the chat below. Don't forget to like and subscribe and to hit that bell icon for your next Justin and Max Games update.